Now, but you can tell us, Glenn, was it that you threatened Scott that he'd be out of the will if he didn't?
I told you not to say anything, Colleen. Are you kidding me? Of course, that's why I had to put a gun to his head. Yeah. If you want the will, when I'm Jude and I are gone, you want the will, you got to keep going with the old man. And he said, "No, all right."
Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
The big announcement, Krista. Listen, let's just all take a moment to thank you guys for the Twitter comedy you've provided us. And here's yet another legendary tweet from your team. Awesome stuff. You're sticking together. And maybe just walk us through that conversation, Krista, because as you watch the world turn around you, you guys are sticking together.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't want to, but I mean, so no. I give all the credit to Sarah. She's the one that came up with the idea that we have to pull a prank on, Canada about us, maybe not playing together, but of course we're playing together, and we're super excited for it because that's who we are, and we are such good friends, and I mean, we're missing a little bit, which we're working on. But that's something that we want to do, and we want to do it together. So we're really excited.
Well, in this time of imports and people moving around and changing the deck chairs of the Titanic, hoping for a different result, what is it that drives this team to continue to? How many years is this, by the way?
We're just finishing our 6th season together.
So what is it that makes you go, this is enough? We are good enough. We don't need to bring in whoever the alleged superstar is. That's probably might be going to be 1% better than the person you've already got. And the chemistry.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, we all play curling. We love the sport. We all have a passion for the sport, but a big part of it is the fun that we have together. And I think if you're going to go out there and play all those Grand Slams and all those tournaments and not have fun, what's the point of doing it? And I think all 4 of us, well, actually 5 of us with Rick, we do have a lot of fun together. Yeah. So I think it's a really big part of it. And I think that's a little bit of the key to our success. I mean, you spend so much time together on and off the ice that if you're not getting along, it's going to be tough to win, I think. And I mean, we do a lot of practice. I know it gets said a lot how we don't curl so much and, we don't play those Grand Slams and we're not on the circuit. But I'll tell you one thing, we practice a lot. And we have our amazing coach, Rick, there right beside us every single time we practice. He's on the ice. He's either throwing his mitts, getting mad, throwing his broom, getting mad at us. So because we're not doing something right. But, we have that together. And I think that's really important that maybe some teams are missing that I think we have. Kendra lives in Sudbury, so she's not, with us as often. But, one thing we really did talk about just in the last few weeks of what are we going to do next year to get that a little bit further. We want to win. We've been second a few times. We've been fourth a few times. We want to win that Scotties. And, we just talked about if we can't spiel anymore, then we need to bring Kendra here to practice more with us or, send Rick to Sudbury to practice with her a little bit more. We're always thinking of a few things that we need to do, just tweak here and there to get better. And, that's what we've been trying to focus on in the last few weeks.
I wondered about that, Krista, because you said you've been right there. You're always in the conversation. So, you could allow that to eat away at you, or you could allow it to push you. And it sounds like you as a team have decided it's going to push you and try and find, like you said, those extra couple of shots to push you over the edge because you're so close.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we're very positive about it, and we are really close, and we know it's going to take the little extra to get there. But I think all of us, and we're talking about it, we went into our team meeting not really knowing exactly what everyone wanted to do. And it's nice to hear that everybody was on the same page. We all want to play hard. We all want to win. We want to do it together. We're all willing to put that little extra in next year. And, that's what you want to hear from your teammates, is that they're willing to do that. And, So we have a few things that we're thinking about for next year, and we're hoping that will help us out and maybe get us that number 1 spot next year.
Yeah. Well, you guys were awesome this year at the Scotties. What was it like to play in your hometown, even with limited crowd?
Yeah, I mean, it was limited at first. Well, we've never played without a crowd before. So the first game I said to Kendra, I'm like, I can actually hear you guys without really yelling loud. I kind of like it. But again, I mean, it's in Thunder Bay. You want that crowd. And then as soon as we were allowed some family and the volunteers, and I think there was about 400 volunteers and family in the stands, and it sounded like it was a full packed house. It was like insane. I couldn't believe it. It was super exciting. But again, I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed that, we get the Scotties back in a few years and we can experience the full effect of the Scotties. But I mean, the little bit that we experienced was pretty amazing still.
Well, the cool thing about not overplaying, because we were a team that didn't overplay and knew how to train well. Yep. You look fresh at the Scotties. It looks like this is joyous to play in again. And there's value in that, is there not?
I agree. I mean, I think we go into every single bonspiel and every single competition feeling that fresh, and that's something that we say we don't want to be burnt out. So I think with our lives, outside of curling, our jobs and our families, I think if we spieled like the other teams, we would be burnt out, and I don't think we'd enjoy it as much as we do right now. And that's something we don't want is, like I love curling and I love playing with these girls, and I don't want to feel like, we used to call it like going to a funeral for practice. Like you don't want to feel like you're going to practice and you don't want to practice. Like you need to be there and want to do it, or else what's the point of practicing? And that's how I feel about the bonspiels too. Like we want to be there. We're excited to be there. And, I think that's, part of our success.
Interesting to hear Brad talk about, not having that fire and stepping away from the game, and hearing your perspective, Krista. I think maybe we should be listening and paying attention a little bit more about the schedule, the grind, the expectation, and the emotional toll that this game is now taking on people,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what those top teams are doing. It's like mind blowing that they can do it. But I mean, everybody's different, and, you don't know exactly what their life is like outside of curling too much. So, I mean, you just have to respect what everyone is saying and what they want to do. And this is what we want to do. And this is how we, run our curling lives. And, we just want the same respect that everybody does.
Well, you've got many more years, Glenn, because breaking news, the band is back together.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not giving up. I'm having too much fun, Devin. Come on, man. This is awesome.
We know that. Tell us about that. Tell us about the conversation. This has been wild. We'll get to that. But you guys are sticking together.
Yeah, it's, you know what? It has been a kind of bizarre year. You knew a lot of this was coming. I didn't think I'd see the magnitude of it. Like, it's literally everybody's breaking up, and it was refreshing to see Krista and the girls kind of come up with a comical tweet to say they're staying together. And I said to the boys at the end of but in the last 2-3 weeks, I said, listen, I'd like to go another year, but I said, by all means, if you find something better, have at her. Even Scott, I said, if you guys got something better, away you go. I do believe you probably got more years left in you than me. I was trying to get that across to them. They didn't believe it. I had to throw it out there. They all came back and said, you know what, Skipper, we want to play another year with you, which was really cool. And I'm really excited again. Like I go, this is, the boys want to play with me. And another part of it was, you've got the breakup team stat was way too high. So we had to bring the stay together stat up.
Ratio.
You got to level the playing field a little bit there, right? And there's not many of us in both sexes. Like it's just crazy. But so I'm excited. I just obviously my knee is an issue. I'm going to have it looked at in the coming weeks, and we got the Players Championship come up. Hopefully it won't be anything serious, and get back at her next year. Guys, I just love my guys are so much fun. It's like Krista was saying a minute ago, and I really believe a lot of teams need to make sure that you have fun, and I love to hear that from Krista. They're a competitive team, but they love to be out there with each other. We're the same, and we don't mind getting in a plane together, in a van together, and play cards together, or whatever. And we just have so much fun and enjoy ourselves, and that's what it's about.
I want to jump in on that. Do you think the game today, Glenn, with knowing how much money and sponsorship and the professionalization of it, do you think the game at the highest level allows for that anymore?
I think it's going away. I think it does. You can definitely make it happen. That's up to you. Yeah, the four or 5 person team, 6 person team with coaches, you can easily make it happen.
Right.
I do believe that I think it's becoming too much of a job, too much regimented, too many. I think they're taking a little bit of the fun out of it. Mm-hmm. That being said, the product is getting better and better. So if that's what it takes to get the product there, then so be it. But that's not my style. We like to enjoy ourselves and have a great time. You got to put the time in and do what you got to do to get better and to get good. But there's no reason why you can't have a lot of fun in the same token.
Sometimes the product looks better. Sometimes the product doesn't look better. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
That's an interesting. You're so right, Colleen.
Yeah,
I actually.
Sometimes it's like.
I know. I marvel at that sometimes, where I keep thinking I'm shocked at some of the misses
right
that happen, and I'm thinking, wow, I thought they probably should have made that shot.
Right.
So that's a whole nother issue, right?
Playing tight is you're just feeling like when it's tightening. My goodness, suddenly a draw looks like the hardest shot in the world. A draw that you make in practice over and over again. We always had this thing that you couldn't leave practice till you made like 8 draws in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere in that ballpark of the thing called the house. Now, but you can tell us, Glenn, was it that you threatened Scott that he'd be out of the will if he didn't?
I told you not to say anything, Colleen. Are you kidding me? Of course, that's why I had to put a gun to his head. Yeah. If you want the will, when Jude and I are gone, you want the will, you got to keep going with the old man. And he said, all right.
Can I ask how proud
he wants my Mustang is really what he wants. That's what he wants.
I would do a lot. Yeah. When they won the provincial and with Scott at the helm, I was in Beijing. I just assumed you were there. I didn't know that you had knee trouble. But what was that moment like when you stepped away from being Glenn Howard, the skip, and you became Glenn Howard, the dad, watching, or maybe you were coaching? But
I was coaching, and all of the above, Colleen. I was first of all, I was so impressed with all 4 of the guys. Tim, Dave, and then Adam Spencer to come in was unbelievable. And Adam, he is the best bear on the planet. Like he plays a couple of club games a week. He does his thing. He plays some mixed doubles. Hey, Adam, do you want to come play in provincial? Sure. And he comes in there, throws 80 to 90% for the week, which is absolutely unbelievable. Tim and Dave stepped it up, and then I got to give huge kudos to my son Scott. He just took control, guys. He embraced the position. You could see he was walking around with confidence. He made decisive calls. He went down. He heard the information. He was unreal, and it was emotional for me because I just sat back and went, "Oh my God, this is really cool to watch."
Nice.
And obviously, as a father, number one, and then as a coach, it's like, wow, what is going on here? And not that it surprised me, but I was so impressed with how he just took control, and then he owned it. And and the boys were so supportive with him, which made it even better. It was fun to watch. It really was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn, a question about all the changes and having these conversations, because, you heard Krista say the team showed up and she had no idea what everyone was going to say. Where's the level of anxiety? When do you start having those conversations in a season? How does that happen in this sport where you have no GM, you have none of that? It just seems like a gut-wrenching thing.
It's by far the worst thing that can happen in our sport, and you just nailed it. We don't have a GM, we don't have an owner, we don't have anybody that can do this for you. We do. Right. You do it as a player, as a teammate, as whatever, a skip maybe.
Yeah,
it's awful. And these discussions quite often, in my case over the years, you sort of talk about the elephant in the room as the year goes on. What do you think about next year? And if somebody wants to leave, they maybe say something, or if somebody wants to stay, hey guys, we're good for next year. We're going to go. And they want to lobby for their position, sort of thing. And it's never comfortable. What I hate to see is when you do have breakups or people get cut, that you lose friendships. And it's happened. And there's still a lot of those situations happening in curling today. But that's awful. You hate, if you've played with a person, you really enjoyed being with them, and you've had highs, like Brad mentioned, highs and lows, and you gotta live through that. But you have to support each other the whole time. And if you lose a friendship over it, would be just god awful. But to your point, Devin, it's I think it gets sort of addressed as the years go on. This is the worst time because of the Olympics and the quadrennial. People feel that I think they have to make changes for the next 4 years.
Right.
Mark my words, though, all those teams that have just made changes, they won't all be together 4 years from now.
Okay, we're gonna write that
You
down.
heard it here first.
I could still be, because I'm still going to be curling.
When you talk about friendships and the hurt that goes on and the divisions that happen because of breakups, and in many ways, curling teams are exactly like a marriage, and anybody who's had a divorce out there would know that it goes, when it's south and it's bad and the love is over on the team, it's over. But if people would just remember a little what Papa Smurf just taught us, that ego's not your amigo.
Right.
Did I get that quote right, Devin?
Yeah.
That they would just look at it as, we're all moving on. The change can be a good thing. Some might argue that change has to happen after the Olympic run.
And I do think now it's becoming, I think it's becoming easier, because I think it's almost a given now. Back in our day, Colleen, it just didn't happen as much. And when it happened, it was a major deal. Today, it's still a major deal, but I feel like because it's happening so often, it's just becoming a give. Okay, well, I guess I'm gone here. I'll try and get onto this team. I'm gone here.
Glenn, in our day and age, well, you're still living in that day and age, but I'm not in the day and age. But before residency rules and that you could import, you were just stuck with whoever was sort of not stuck. If any of my curling teammates are listening, I was never stuck, especially if they were my sisters. But, it's hard to change outside the province, in our time. And now the residency rules, you can import from anywhere.
Yeah, and that makes obviously your pool of potentials way bigger than it used to be. You're right. Back, we were the same, and even go way back, we had to be members of the same club. Yeah, literally.
Right. Oh my God.
Same zone.
I forgot that era.
Parachuting. If you jumped out of one zone and got into another, you were, oh my God, that's not allowed.
Right.
So the times have changed, and I think because of that, though, and I think people have grown a bit of a thicker skin because it's a business now, and that's just the way it is.
How much do you think the performances of Canadian teams over the last 4 years internationally put more pressure on teams here to try and find the right recipe, Glenn?
Yeah, I see it. The performance is still pretty solid. It is upsetting to hear. I know, I think, I feel bad for Brad and Jennifer this year. Brad and the boys, I think to their, they would tell you right to your face that they didn't play to their potential. And I think that's probably what upset them more than not getting a silver or gold. And let's face it, he was a quarter of an inch away from going to the final for the gold medal match.
Right.
Unbelievable to come back, win the bronze medal. Super proud of him. That's amazing. Jen, tied for the last spot. Well, every other year you get to play that game. And Jen, when she gets on a roll, she could have steamrolled right to the gold medal because of the new no tiebreaker, blah, blah, blah. Which I hate. So again, and again, you hear it all the time, the rest of the world's getting really good. Well, the rest of the world is phenomenal, and they don't have the depth like we have in Canada, but my God, the teams that they're sending in they got one or two teams in every country now. It seems like they're so good.
Right.
We are not, I don't care. And we can talk about new systems. I don't care what system we put in place for the next 4 years. We're not guaranteeing going to get a medal. We can do everything. We're not going to be guaranteed to get a medal because it's hard to win. The hardest thing for Canadians is when you go even to a Worlds and more so than Olympics, you think it's your last time, and there's that much added pressure. I've got to do it. That's what we have to deal with probably more so. But I think our reps over the last 8-10 years have been phenomenal. We just haven't quite got the results that we all thought we were going to get, and that's where we as Canadians have to relax a little bit. But I think there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to the Olympic process moving forward, the next quadrennial, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Well, as long as it's not a hand-selected team.
As long as it's not a hand-selected team, 100%. Don't like that. Not going to work.
Yep. All right. Well, Glenn, nice to see you. Get that knee fixed. Glad you're staying together.
Yes. Yeah, again, super excited about the boys wanting to play again, and again, a year at a time. This will probably be my last, but who knows? I'm still having.
What's the date today? We're gonna chat again a year from now, and we'll have a tweet saying.
I think my biggest fear is those three retire on me. They're getting old, right? I don't know how much they can take. So anyway, it's been a blast, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, glad you could make it.
Always enjoy it.